Travis Wingoodsell, as I was turning on the TV to start watching the news for the evening to prepare for Maddow's show. I saw that Minnesota is in a state of riot, just like Hong Kong is against China. China is back at it again, if you didn't know about China in the first place. China wants to control Hong Kong, and Hong Kong is saying, hell no. And so China then sent the military in, and they've been at war. And so they're back at war again, as China has issued a new order, and Hong Kong says, hell no. So, leave people alone. Let them be themselves. But Minnesota, likewise, cop killers. They've been fired, but people are now calling for their arrest. And our nation has had that problem too, where those in positions of authority and trust get away with murder, literal murder in this case. They commit all sorts of abuses and they go untouched by the law. As we the people, if we get busted for something, we get thrown down the river. Our whole lives are ruined. And so, since we're all supposed to be staying home, please don't go out. Don't fall for their trap. Stay home still. But Con Air. John Penny was up in Canada with us. He was in my ward in Canada. If you aren't Mormon and you don't know Mormon lingo, a ward is an area for a congregation. And then a stake, S-T-A-K-E, not S-T-E-A-K, is like a district of wards. And so John Penny was there with me while I was at the university, and had taken the seminary class, training class with me, and he had a new family also. They were newer than us, but I wanted Stephanie to hang out with his wife rather than the women she chose to hang out with, and she didn't want to do that, and I wasn't going to force her or anything, but I just tried to encourage her, and so she chose the wrong. And for example, the leader of the Black Widows that Stephanie hung out with instead of my recommendation for her had tormented her husband to the point where he went into the hospital one day with a gun and shot himself. And the police all claimed, oh, well, he had mental problems, so we're not going to investigate. God. Anyway, I got dumped off here in Utah by Stephanie, as she divorced me up in Canada, and screwed me over, because Canada has different ways of doing things up there, and I couldn't go back up, so I got screwed, and so John graduates from the university, then comes down to BYU to continue his education, and invites me to come spend some time with him. Tells me that my now ex is telling all sorts of trash talk about me, making false accusations about what I was doing and why she is the martyr when she was the one who left. So I was the martyr. Me. And so he took me to a movie. I said, it's rated R. Is that okay with you? What a dumbass. But yeah, she had spread lies and rumors that I was addicted to R-rated movies or whatever nonsense. I didn't even bother to listen. And so John thought he had to ask, I guess. And there's nothing in Con Air. Language, violence. Nonetheless, he took me to Con Air. And he wasn't understanding, but at the end of the movie, I made the comment, so now do you understand me? And turns out that I was more of a prophet than I realized, as the church went and had me falsely locked up, not just what Stephanie had falsely accused me of, and having my life ruined because of false accusations. But in the movie Con Air, Nicolas Cage, I believe he was a Marine or a Ranger. A Ranger, I think it was. And finished his tour of duty and was coming home to his wife, who had been pregnant before he left for duty, and so now he was coming back and she was pregnant. But there were some drunks at the bar who were hitting on his wife, even when she was pregnant. There's a thing for that, I guess, in the porno community. A thing for everything. But he told him to leave her alone, and she had him back down, and she was saying, oh, you're not that man anymore. I guess he had anger issues before he went into the service, but it wasn't his fault. And so I didn't like that on her part. She should not be blaming him for defending her. She may think she knows those guys, but she doesn't. Women do not know and understand guys. Guys know and understand other guys. And so when guys act a certain way, guys know there's trouble brewing. But she calmed him down and backed him off, and they went back to lay in wait. And sure enough, when she closed, they both went out to the car. It was raining, big storm, mud everywhere, and slippery and dark. And they come out and they surround him, and they proceeded to assault him. And because of his training as a ranger, despite the overwhelming odds, several guys to one, even the one guy pulled out a knife, but he knocked it out of the hand, and the other guy that got away took the knife. And the judge in the court said that because he is a ranger and trained for fighting, that he is at a higher bar for judgment than regular people are. And so the judge denied self-defense, and he was sentenced to 6 years, most likely. Wouldn't surprise me how much of a prophet I was. And so part of his rehabilitation required him to say, I don't think they did the parole thing. I think they just showed him going. But I've seen it in other situations where people who go in for parole hearings, they have to say the magic words. Oh yeah, I was wrong in what I did. I see that now. I'm never going to do that again. I found God, blah, 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 blah. That's all psychobabble. And yet that's what the parole board wants to hear. They want to know you've been brainwashed. And so so he gets put on Con Air. His jail term is over. He's a free man, and they put him on Con Air as the transport ship for other convicts to another prison. The worst of the worst, and some comedy ensues. Garland, I got the whole world. Yeah, and so yeah, the whole thing was planned by these other cons to take over the plane, and they did, and he's stuck on it with his cellmate, who's also getting transferred, but his cellmate has diabetes, and so he needs his shot. And he was supposed to get it on the plane, but the plane got taken over. His insulin needle got damaged, broken, crushed, and so he's out of commission as he's sweating up a storm and all that. But I'm not going to do the whole movie for you, but I cry at the end with Trisha Yearwood's song when her song starts up, and so I don't want to go there. That's our police officers in Minnesota. The people understand that. We, the people, understand that. They are held to a higher bar. They go into a police academy to train how to be police officers. And apparently, as I've learned firsthand from the West Valley City police officers, they don't teach de-escalation. They purposely teach escalation and bullying techniques. Literally, I'm not kidding you. I had to tell them, de-escalate? Huh? What? What's that word? Oh my God! They literally do not know the word. They are not trained for de-escalation. They've got their gun, they've got their badge, they're ready to blow some people away who are unarmed and innocent. Literally. Last year was a bad day if you were a mentally ill person as labeled by the state of Utah, because those death rates just skyrocketed last year. Not to mention the other unarmed persons who weren't mentally ill, that also skyrocketed. I mean, our cops are just bloodthirsty murderers. And so yes, Minnesota has the right to protest and stand up and say, arrest those men. Don't just fire them, have them arrested. They are at a higher bar of judgment because of their position of training and trust in the community. And they betrayed that with murder. And so with this coronavirus, I'm hearing from another tenant, oh, it's just, they were shutting down businesses. I thought that was ridiculous. Oh, I had to hold my tongue. The reason why they're shutting down businesses, the reason why they have you wear a mask, is because there's now 100,000 dead in America. In Utah, we've passed 100 dead. And that's just from what gets reported, not from what doesn't get reported. That's why we do it. I've done the video this past Wednesday. I think I might have done it earlier in the last couple of days, but Utah is well known for our government failing to act until a certain quota of deaths occur. And they don't get held accountable. The plus 100 Utah deaths are on Governor Herbert. Don't let him fool you. Don't let him distract you. He's opening things up. But saying, hey, it's on you if you get coronavirus. Not on me. And then Nelson. M.D. Russell M. Nelson, President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Instead of healing people, instead of providing for the poor who are unemployed, who have to stay home and isolate, with the bishop storehouses, which he didn't even try to prepare. None of the prophets tried to prepare. They built it for the Great Depression, and then it was just a token thing after that. Oh, see what we did? Yeah, we saved the people in depression. And they did nothing to expand and provide storage for a rainy day. Instead, they saved trillions for a rainy day, which we know now, as it's pouring rain, they come out and confess, oh no, we're going to give it to Jesus when he comes. Yeah, the first presidency message about the 100 billion tithing scandal, we follow the parable of the talents. Well, no, you don't, but the parable of the talents, as you are interpreting it, is that the Lord, who represents Jesus, gives 3 guys a certain sum of money called talents. 2 of them go to the town and invest, and they make more money from their investment. The 3rd guy hid it in the ground so that it wouldn't be lost. Well, the Lord comes for the second coming and takes the money and he doesn't really, he gives it back to them and then takes the money from the other guy and gives it to the other guys. He didn't need the money at all. And so what do the other guys need it for if the Lord doesn't need it? And so they just screwed up the whole interpretation of that parable. But that's what they meant. We're waiting for Jesus to come, and I'm sure they'll probably come up with an alternate reality of, oh, well, he's going to tell us how to spend it wisely. Are you not prophets, seers, and revelators who speak and act for God? Why do you need to wait for him to physically appear? And so, yeah, that's the nightmare we live in. Nelson is just as guilty of blood. Because he, like Herbert, like the rest of the nation, were slow to shut the whole system down and provide for the needs of the people, which would have just been 2 weeks. That's it. And we'd have to stop all our ports because the rest of the world didn't follow it. But that's it. All our ports of entry, whether it be airports, seaports, land ports, you just say, hey, we've got to isolate you for a couple of weeks and test you to make sure you don't have the virus before you can then proceed to whatever it was you were coming into America for. It's not complicated. I mean, it's a big task, but it's not complicated. And then we would have stayed at home. They would have said, hey, we're letting you have until Friday to get your grocery shopping done. We're asking grocery stores to stock up extra food before Friday. Did they do it? No. No. And toilet paper? No. No. As a result, our lives are forever changed. We will never have the life we had. They are trying to let us have it back right now, but that's the death trap. This coronavirus isn't cured. It's not going to magically go away. It's not going to go away by drinking bleach. And shame on you for thinking that bleach will cure coronavirus. But that's just it. By their fruit you shall know them. We now know them, and nobody's holding them accountable. Except for Minnesota, who's finally standing up to say, hey, no, they need to be held accountable too. So what is the punishment if it's a life sentence for a regular citizen? What is then the punishment for a police officer who's trained to kill, who then kills an innocent man who's calling for help? Death penalty, anyone? Oh, but they don't want to be, oh no, we got to forgive and forget. You've got to forgive and forget me, people. Yeah, they don't want to be held accountable. That's what people say who do not want to be held accountable. They want to get away with their crimes. Oh, they're a religious leader. We can't touch him. I'm touching him. And I'm expecting the judge to follow the laws of the United States of America and order on my behalf against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for their crimes committed against me. Anything else is an injustice. It's not a complicated system. It's just those in authority purposely make it complicated because they don't want to be held accountable.